Hey everybody, this is Alex Merced from alexmercedcoder.com, and this is going to be the second video on Ruby Sinatra and a backend framework, kind of like Express is to Node JavaScript. So last time we showed you how to make some basic routes. So again, you just use the verb and the endpoint and just do a do block. Okay, so hello world, and then there you go. It's pretty straightforward. Now, the next thing we want to show you is how to do static files. So we're going to do static files and views in this video. Okay, so we know how to send back JSON data, but what if we wanted to send back like websites? There's two ways you could do it. You could set up a static file. Okay, so this line would happen here. So you're setting the setting public folder, and this is going to choose the current file path plus a folder called static. So what you would do is in your project would create a folder named static. Okay, and let's pretend I comment out these routes. Now let's say in that static folder I create an index.html. And the way static folders work is that it's going to be mapped over your route. So basically the static folder acts as kind of your root in a sense. So basically it'll first check the public folder, see if there's an index.html when you go to the root. If not, then it would look for a root route because of the order I put it in this file. But since I commented it out, all we have is a static file. So I go here, index.html, and see, we'll say h1, this is being served from the static folder. Okay, save. Okay, and then we will restart our server. So Control C to kill the server, ruby server.rb to run the server again. And I go here, I'm going to go back to the root route. Okay. Sinatra doesn't know this, did he? Try this, get cute. Let's see here, let me think about this for a second. Did I save in the right place? Static. Let's go back to the code. Set public folder / static. Back to the docs for a second. I included in the URL I found. Static files are served from the public directory. Not public. Yeah, so technically I should be reading it from there. We'll also create a public folder. So static, I spelled it wrong. Static. Technically that's what it should be doing. But it looks like also by default, I don't even have to specify this. If I were to create a public folder, that would work too. So let's rename this to public. Rename to public. And I'm going to restart the server. And let's see if that works. So I don't even have to specify anything. Still no. Let's create another index file. Public folder index.html. Yeah, I should. But let's do this. bob.html. So if I go /bob.html, that does work. Okay, so I guess you have to specify the file name. It doesn't like do default sort of look for index.html behavior. Okay, so yeah, but the idea is you can serve stuff from that public folder. So again, if you wanted to change the name of the public folder, you would just use this line of code. Set public folder. But by default, it'll work from a folder called public. Cool. Okay, next let's talk about templates. Okay, I think by default you have Erb already installed. So I'm not going to talk about other templating languages because Erb is kind of out of the box. The same thing that Rails uses, so why not? Which just stands for embedded Ruby. So let's do it this way, hello world. And then what you do is just type in ERB. This is going to be the name of the view, so we'll just say index. Okay, and we'll leave it at that for now. So then what you need to do is you need to create a folder called views. And then in that views folder, you're going to create a index.erb. So again, this is a template. So instead of just sending the raw HTML file as you would, so like here, if I hit bob.html, the server doesn't do anything. It just sends back the file. With an ERB file, what's going to happen is that the server is going to render the template first. So you'll see there's going to be some like little templating language we're going to use, and it's going to run that first, and then send back the finished HTML to the client. Okay, so I'm just going to copy what we have here, because essentially you can treat this as an HTML file. The difference is you can now do stuff like this. Okay, I don't use ERB very often, so I may have to do a quick peek, but I'm pretty sure it's just the same as like EJS embedded JavaScript. So I could do something like this. I could do 2 plus 2 . Okay, and so basically what happens whenever you use this %, it's gonna, and I use the equal sign at the front, it's gonna print whatever the expression inside resolves to. If I don't use the equal sign, then it's just basically having like Ruby in your code. So for example, okay, if I were to do something like percentage for or we do something like this: 1, 2 dot each x do. Okay, and then eventually I need to have an end to it, so percentage end. Okay, then here I could just say something like h2 percentage equals x h2. So it's going to repeat this h2 for each thing in the array. So first for 1, first for 2, dot each, and then again I'm doing an each loop where each item in the array is an x, and I'm going to do this over and over again. Okay, so let's see if that works. So let's kill the server, run the server again. Let's go to the root. Syntax error, oops. Let's see here. Unblock. So there's a syntax error in my do, so just saying it doesn't like how I did the thing. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to comment that out for now. This part. It's not the important part. Okay, let's kill that for the moment. And see, just to show you, see, it says 4, which means, see, it processed 2 plus 2, which equals 4, and rendered that to the screen instead of rendering 2 plus 2. So again, the point is, it treats what's inside of here as an expression, as a Ruby expression. Okay. I'm not going to kind of get more in depth into the ERB templating syntax. I mean, that's pretty much it. It's just use this when you want to print something to the screen. It's the equal sign. Without it, it just is a generic Ruby expression. I just probably did that, malformed that each block, and you probably watching probably know exactly where my mistake is. Okay, but I'm not going to spend too much time on that. Cool. So what we learned today, there's 2 ways we can serve like HTML. We can do it either through a public file, the public folder, so I can do something like this, like bob.html. Oh, nope, this is here, bob.html, and just serves a static.html file. Or I can serve a template. Okay, and it'll render that template before we send it back out. Okay, and then the third thing we can do is we can just make an API and we can just send back JSON data. Okay, as you saw, although that route's currently commented out, but that's the basic idea. So those are the 3 main ways to send information back. That's particularly useful. I mean, you could probably send back XML, but who does that anymore? Cool. I'll see you guys in the next video. We're going to start covering more material.